Okay, I'm just going to quickly review what we did in class in terms of what's going to be on the quiz tomorrow. So tomorrow's quiz, we're going to be looking at two things: perimeter and area. Now, the thing we've looked at so far, a lot of it has focused on perimeter because we've looked at area previously, but just kind of go over what we've done. We started off with looking at perimeter of rectangles. So these are what we call regular shapes. So in this case, for a rectangle, what's its regular side? This side is the same length as that side, hence the single dash. That side's the same as that side, so that's why you have the double dash. So when we look at using grid paper is an easy way to get a regular shape of rectangle. So if I have a rectangle and I have, let's say, 5 centimeters as my one side length and 4 centimeters as my other, what I can do with that is actually create a grid pattern. So if I break this up into fifths, and I break this up into fourths, I get an area of 20 centimeters squared. And the squared term is from looking at the creation of squares. We've taken one unit, which is centimeters, and multiplied it by centimeters, which gives us centimeters squared. So that's just kind of a general idea of where we're going. Since we have 20 as our area, to get the perimeter, all we're doing is counting the distance around the object, kind of like how we did the distance around the school. So if I just transfer this over, this side is 5 centimeters. Well, because we have the one dash, that means we know that the other side is 5. This side is 4. That means the other side is 4 centimeters. So for perimeter, that would be equal to 5 centimeters plus 5 centimeters plus 4 centimeters plus another 4 centimeters. Right? 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 8 is 18, so our perimeter is 18 centimeters. So as you can see here, our area, which was 20, does not have to match our perimeter. So those things don't have to be the same. They can be different. Where you actually notice this a little more is the narrower that rectangle gets. So if I want 20 centimeters squared area, but if my rectangle, let's say, is 1 by 20, well, I still have 1 times 20, or an area of 20 centimeters squared. But my perimeter is actually 20 plus 20, which is 40, plus 1 and 1 is 42. My perimeter is 42 centimeters. So in this case, the number of squares in my area and the actual perimeter of the shape, there's quite a bit of difference. So depending, if you were a designer and you were putting a border around the top of a wall, it would cost you a lot more money for this room than it would for that room. However, if I was putting carpet down on the area of this flooring, I would just need the same amount of carpet. So area and perimeter, even in modern day, if you're looking at designing or Property Brothers or a show like that, big difference in pricing and things like that depending on what you're dealing with. Well, the final thing I just want to talk about is irregular shapes. So in irregular shapes, much like before, even if we're dealing with an area of 20 centimeters squared, that would be 20 cubes on your piece of paper. But in irregular, we don't have these parallel sides. We don't have that rectangular shape. We just have a shape that has the same amount of area. So I could have a shape like this. And if I take this shape and cut this up into 20 pieces, so there I've got 10. I'll continue it down. Sorry, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So even though my drawing is off, and I know it is because you should all be the same size, so not to mislead you, but you could have, once again, in terms of area, you could have your 20 cubes on your grid paper. But in this case, the distance around, once again, would be much different than you would have for a regular size shape. So that's what we're looking at tomorrow, is what's your understanding of area, how does that relate to perimeter, and then how does that change when we're looking at irregular shapes.